Starting with the 30-year yields instead of the 10-year yields today, and looking at the same sort of pattern as we're looking at with the 10-year yields here as well. We've been trying to consider it wave 3 here with an ABC for here. We can squeeze 5 waves out of here, but the 5th wave is a little bit small, so I'm a bit concerned about that. But this other little move down here appears to be in 3 waves. So if this top is taken out, then that's going to help solidify that as being correct at that particular point. But we're not there yet. With the 30-year yields, this wave C hasn't dropped down below this here. So that is a little bit of a concern. But we do have a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here as a movement here. And the same goes here as well. You could squeeze 5 waves of the 3rd, 4th, 5th out of the top here, but it's pushing it a little bit. But the further that moves up here and takes the top out, or even the second top here, then that's going to cement that in here a little bit further. But we're not there yet with it, so I'll leave that at that. The US dollar, it's really hasn't really sort of moved. We've been looking at it as a low being in place down here, but the it's a little bit tricky really, because if I go to the euro dollar here for a moment, just bear with me while I bring that up, because I think it's a good thing to have a look at this here. So the euro dollar, we're looking, it hasn't got to its wave 1 yet. So we've got wave 3, 4, and then we're looking at, I've got this, it's a bit, all this is a bit complicated, but 3 A, B, C for 4 here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish up here with the equities. Moving up. So with that moving up as into this wave 1 area here, well, that means that if I go back to the daily chart here for a moment, then it kind of means that we don't have this low in place here yet, you know, because I've been considering the low being in over here, but it's probably a 4th wave coming into here, and we're going to be drifting down here further on this here. I'll just clean this up here because it's where I've been yakking before. But yeah, I've been speaking about looking, just move these out of the way, looking at it as, you know, sort of fading from here and coming down and bouncing, you know, around here for this. It's just not getting up here for this, you know, and it's really sort of just bending and taking its time. So, you know, based on the euro, we should be breaking to the downside here. So what I sort of came to this morning was we've got this 3-wave move to the upside. So that can be corrective as an ABC. So if this low is taken out here, then we'll be on our way down at that point, because that would break the structure at that point, this ABC structure. So in the meantime, though, as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, that's all fine. So we'll just see, you know, what happens. I mean, if it takes these tops out here, then that would be the same as pretty much taking that top out there. So we're just waiting to see which way this dances. And obviously this is going to put, you know, a move down here is going to be great for copper. It will help push copper to the upside a little bit, it'll revalue those, and iron ore sitting on $100 US, so we'll see a bounce off that anyway. So yeah, it'd be nice to see it break down to the downside to help confirm the sterling and the euro dollar to the upside. But I don't know. It's a little bit messy, this situation here. Okay, so let me just bring my list up here so I can just work to the list, so I've got some sort of order in my chaos. Okay, so we're on to gold here. This is GDX, and we've seen this before. We haven't seen it for a while, but it's good having a look at it again, because it's taken this little top out here. So that's good. And yeah, I mean, the whole thing is making, I mean, you could look at this as being an A and a B and a C wave up here as a corrective wave, but I'm not really getting the 5 waves down here. I'm not getting it in this little section here. So we've just been, you know, working this here. We've got our first impulse wave up here, and this is a monthly chart, by the way. And on the weekly chart, this will be it here. So just building that to the upside. So we've had this for quite some time, and yeah, as I've said before when we were down here, I mean, gold is the go, you know, and so this trend to the upside here, I'm just wondering, you know, as a I'll have a third wave there. I'll just copy one of these here for a moment, just so I can explain something that I'm trying to work through here. And I mean, the good news is that we're in a bullish trend, and the situation is how to count this wave 3 here. Do I put the wave 3 up here? I mean, it's kind of a bit weird really, because we can look at this move up here as wave 1 and 2 coming back, and then 3, 4, 5. We could go that way with it, or I could just extend this up here. This could be a little wave 4 here, and we go up here further into a wave 5 into that. There's a couple of different ways to count this. I mean, well, the good news is that they're both bullish, so it doesn't really matter that much. And you know, we've been looking mainly at the Australian gold stocks, Newcrest and Northern Star and ABX now and again. But any sort of gold stock in this trend will be fine. So that said, if I go to, I'm just going to focus in on this little move here, and I'll just tell you sort of where I'm up to with that. Can we just do it at 100 ticks? Is that going to do it? Yeah, that'll do it. So this is, we've already got this 1 and 2 here, right? So I'm trying to understand the best way to count this here. And if I can see that because it's left the trend here a lot, it's a good case to have wave 2 here. When I look at stocks though, Newcrest Mining and the others, it seems to be better with a wave 4 here. So I don't know if I got wave 3 or 1 here, or 4 or 2 here. That's the thing, you know. But I do think whichever way you want to look at it, we've got that low in place and we're ready to go here. I can't actually get an impulse wave here. If I go from 100 ticks, say, down to 5 ticks to understand that little move here, this would be it here. So let me just check here. We have to work it from that low there. I'm just going to remove that now. So this would be, that's 1, 2, that's all of 1, 2, 3. This is probably 1, 2, it's probably to here. And a B wave and a C wave for here is wave 2. So I think we're still building here. This will also be another little move here, and then another one in here as well. So it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave, then the fourth, and then the fifth wave here. So we're able to put wave 3 in over here for that, 1, 2, 3 or something of that nature, and you know, continue to build it like that. But I don't have, what I'm trying to say, this move up here could be corrective, you know, but it is sort of starting to look like an impulse wave, which is good, but it's not enough to put your hard-earns on, you know, on this just yet. But if you wanted to go, then you just need to, you know, I think if you went long in this, you would have to just do it with a non-leverage product, and you would need to keep the position very small until we got, say, at least onto 34 there. So if we could get on there, because then that would give us an impulse wave. You can see that we just looked at that being wave 1 here, and that being wave 3 here, and then wave 4, and then wave 5. So then we'll have an ABC. We'll pick this up in the Australian videos when we do it. But I think that's one way of looking at it at this point, and we can look to put a green line across here. I mean, if you bought it now, just keep the stop way down near the low down here, because when wave 2 comes back, wave 2 could come back, you know, 40, 50, 60% and all of that. If you don't want to do that, then this is the safe trade here. When that gets triggered, you can put the stop under the last low there at that point. I think we're very close to having that low in place. It's just, we just want to see the US dollar drop, which will be another thing, you know. We want to see that wherever that dollar went. Anyway, where it's gone, we want to see that drop to the lower side. That will help push this to the upside for GDX. This brings us to US spot gold. So I can call wave 1 in here, but I don't really want to call wave 1 in here, because the thing is I'm not really getting that nice wave 2 pullback here, you know. So I think that we're just in 4. I think we've got the, you know, the classic trading levels pattern where we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, then the ABC pattern. So this would be the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level is wave 5 of 5 of 1 here and then an ABC. I've probably drawn this too big, but it's, you know, I can't put that in here. It just doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? So as I mentioned, it looks better with wave 4 occurring here. Now, how this wave 4s can get really ugly, but the stochastics is pulling back, so it's probably ready to pop to the upside. But yeah, I mean, once it sits on that, not just popping its head up, but actually sitting on top of the 2 here, then you could probably trade it up to, well, 2080, the 100 here in that sort of case. Yeah, I mean, it's wave 4, you know what I mean? Wave 4s can, like, you know, pop up here and then come back here. It hasn't pulled back to its retracement level yet, but I think that we're heading up because of where the stochastics is and what we can see with GDX. And so I think we're on the right track here of putting a wave 4 in here somewhere. But I'm not that interested in just drilling in here just yet. So, you know, after 5 waves here, then we can look to be, I think you're better off trading stock. It's easier at this point. You don't want to be in a leveraged product around a large number, because a large number will just keep pulling the market back to itself and chewing up time, and that is money when you're paying margin. So not such a good look. Silver here, we've been looking for the correction here. We can look at the top of 3 or 1 here, or 2 or 4, whatever, but it's done all the right things here. It's come up, it's had the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and ABC correction. This is really butt ugly here, but I think in one way or another, this is like wave 1, 2 here, and then we've got this third wave here, some sort of ABC here for the 4th and down for the 5th. Now, I know there's like problems in saying that, but at the same time, when you're around large numbers like the 25 here, it's going to, the market just keeps, you know, people put large orders around that number. That's how people think, you know, 5 is the second strongest number. So it just pulls the market there, and it will skew an Elliott wave count. And I think that's what we got. If you want to go long here, then you want to be on top of the 25. As simple as that. Not such a hard thing to do. It does look a little bit impulsive coming up here, but it's not sitting on top here yet. So you want, you know, you want that pattern here. You want that first high above the level. That's your reference point. Then you can come down at that point. So that's where silver is. Now we're going to have a look at the metals. So, or are we? Let me just get my list again, just so I can stay on track. Silver, yeah. So we're going to have a look at copper, lithium, and nickel, and then we'll do the energy at that point. So this is just the mining thing, and you know, we are seeing iron ore become quite weak. We're seeing, you can look at the Australian video for that, where we track that. We're seeing copper becoming quite weak. It hasn't broken down yet. We know nickel is also on the bearish side. Lithium is also pretty much on the bearish side. China is closed from the 29th to the 2nd of May for Golden Week, so we're not going to see any sort of push from there. We'll pick an iron ore up on the Singapore exchange from that point, but they're probably on holidays too. I mean, they're Chinese, aren't they? So I beg your pardon if I'm insulting anybody about that, but I know diddly squat. I'm just a white Anglo-Saxon male, so just a dumbass on culture, but don't mean to offend anybody. So this looks bearish to me, you know. This, well, I can't, if I looked at this as 1 and 2 here, and this is wave 3 here, I can't look at this as wave 4 because we're overlapping. I could go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 down to here and then move to the upside. But the equality between the A wave and the C wave here, I think that, you know, I think that this could just continue to work on down here, you know. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, this is what I'm kind of thinking with BHP and Vale and the Aussie ones, and, you know, Fortescue and all those sorts of things. So yeah, but anyway, enough yakking about that. Let's just go in here and look at copper. So with copper here, nice to see it sort of push up. So I can look at copper in being wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 going up here. but it can also be an A and a B and a C up here. So I've got to kind of wait for this to finish off here a little bit. I think there's one more little move down here as we had a look at the intraday. So, you know, we just got to wait and see. We've got to wait and see, you know. I mean, it's big and ugly like a wave forward. If you don't know what it is, then it's likely to be a wave four. It's a bit difficult to call it bearish because the first move down here is not really impulsive, you know. But we have to take on board that this is in 3 waves here, so we've got to be careful about that. It's probably, it doesn't even look like 5 waves up here, so it looks like an expanded flat for wave 1, so to speak. So we could look at it in terms of wave 1 here, and 2 coming into here, and then 3, 4, 5 coming up here. So we'll need to give that a little bit more substance of this degree here, I'd imagine. So it's possible to look at it like that, but I just want this to finish off here first. I can't do anything about that. I mean, obviously, if it gets back onto, sits on 4, then it's bullish. But I think we've got maybe one or two little new lows to be made here yet. So, yeah, and that, you know, that brings us back into its buddy over here, nickel and copper. So when we're looking at nickel and copper here, we're looking at this whole move up here on the daily chart as being corrective. That means we're looking at 5 waves coming down here. So these will be a series of 4s and 5s to come down here. I look at the same time, as I've mentioned, this looks like it's in 3 waves here. We can have it as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. That's okay. But I need to see that push up a bit higher through there for that. So I'm not ruling it out. It's possible. It's possible we could look at all of this as an A wave, a B wave to here, and a C wave moving up. It's doable, but, you know, we've been working this for a while, and it's just not clear. You know, we watched it push up, and we counted the 5 waves up, and then we said, well, it can be an ABC, or it could be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We don't know. We have to wait for it to come back. It's working itself into a corner, and it will eventually come out of that corner. And lithium stocks. So the US were up quite nicely. It'll be trading, this is China trading today. So we have spiked down below here for this. So we're looking at an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave coming out. I still haven't sorted this out here, but the thing is I am not seeing any impulse waves to the upside here. Do you know what I mean? So to me, we're still trending lower at this point. And yeah, there's nothing to suggest to me that we're pushing to the upside. I know we're on lower volume coming down, but anyway, mid next week when they come back, China comes back, because this is a $150 billion company besides, you know, these ones here that run in about 30 bill market for these. So yeah, so that's the metal. We just cover that in the Aussie most of the time. But yeah, for the US folks, this XME here for the mining and metals thing, we've got a bearish pattern here, and we're picking that up in, as I mentioned, in some of the bigger Australian miners like BHP, and Vale won't be far behind BHP and those sorts of things. But China is buying a lot. So that's the other point too, that needs to be sort of mentioned again and a few times. So, you know, China has been buying iron ore from Brazil and from Australia. We've got a very high quality iron ore over here, as you know. They like to buy it from us because the shipping costs are less. But when you have a look at Brazil's exports, you'll see that, you know, they've just basically, you know, to China, if this was a graph here, so to speak, you know, over the years, you know, 10, 15 years, it's just going like that, you know. So they're just, you know, there's a lot going out of Brazil, but China do have that iron ore, high quality iron ore coming online in 2025. So they'll be pulling all their iron ore for themselves, you know, out of Central Africa. For that's been a decade in the making. But it won't be coming out of the ground until then, so it's still a fair way away. But it does kind of, like, you know, give a bit of darkness on some of those big stocks, you know. Okay, over to the energy sector, and yeah, so this is XLE here, and you know, you can see that this here is some sort of A wave, B wave, and C wave down here. This move up through here, we can look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could probably look it up as an A and a B and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, which is basically how I was looking at oil. But I'm showing you this because I think that we need to look at oil, crude oil, the same as well, pulling back. We can see the stochastics pulling back on this daily chart here for this. So I think that there may be another little move down here, but essentially we'll be looking to move up here. And I think this is the way we need to treat crude as well. So with crude here, I'm going to look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here with the A wave here, then an A and a B, and then the C wave down here. And with the C wave down here, I think we've got a little bit more to come here. So this will be wave 1 in here and wave 2 here. This will be also 5 waves in green here somewhere. I haven't looked at wave 4 much. As wave 5 for 3, 4, and 5. So I think we've got a little bit more down, and the 72 is the $72 is the 61.8%, and then I think we push up from that point. If it's going to be more bearish, then we'll be looking at this as wave 1 and 2 and 3 here. And then we'll just be patient about what we see here to see if we see overlapping wave structures here, and then if that will tell us it's a wave 4 and we're coming down at that point, you know. So we'll have to work through this. So there's nothing really to do here or in the United States Oil Fund here for that, but we'll treat that the same with 5 waves to the upside. Then we come over to natural gas. So we're looking at the gas fund here first before natural gas. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, and then we're looking at an A and a B and a C to the downside here. So I don't have 5 waves up here. I only have 3 waves up here. I don't even have a very nice 5 waves down here. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, which is a bit dodgy. I know that. So we're just going to be a little bit patient. If we find support on the 7, then we can build in on that there. So I want to push this over to here. So this brings us into natural gas over here. And with natural gas here, we're looking at wave 1 to the upside here with an A and a B and a C wave for wave 2. It's not a very good C wave finishing off here. And I need to see some more information over here. So I'll keep an eye on this next week in the Australian video. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks for tuning in.